Today's episode of Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff is being brought to you by Kinky Green. Kinky Green offers sustainable wellness solutions that alleviate pain and accentuate pleasure. Using hemp-derived CBD, Kinky Green is exactly what your body needs to naturally support sleep, mood, muscle recovery, and even your romantic life. To find out more about their complete line of products, including the best-selling Muscle Melt Pain Balm, visit shopkinkygreen.com. All listeners of this program can receive an extra 15% off when you use offer code Dr. Tiff. Exclusions may apply. Now let's start the show. My guest today is a TV and radio personality, actor, community activist, dance studio owner, entrepreneur, and more. She is a true force to be reckoned with a big heart and an even bigger story. Please welcome my guest today, Ms. Ebony Steele, to Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff. Ebony!
Hello, Dr. Tiff, and the crowd goes wild.
And the crowd goes wild, honey, because everybody, listen, if someone didn't recognize your name, because let's be honest, there are a couple of Ebonys out there, right? If they didn't recognize your name, they know that face and they know this voice.
That's very sweet.
But it is so the truth, because I'm telling you, I'd asked someone earlier today, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be interviewed. They were like, the name kind of sounds familiar. I was like, listen, just look her up. Once you see her face, I know you know who she is. And I know, because you have such a distinctive, sexy, raspy, just beautiful voice.
Girl.
That you know it. You know it.
Well, I appreciate that. Let me tell you what's funny, Dr. Tiff. I would say like 80% of the time when I go through a drive-through, after I place my order, let me get the grilled chicken sandwich and the salad, and they'll be like, okay, that's 12. Well, you know how much prices are now. That'll be $18.64, sir. Please drive around. So 9 times out of 10, it's sir a lot. Even when telemarketers call, they say I sound like a very kind gay black man. Yeah, I do.
If I close my eyes.
We all have our things. Yes. So yes, cheekbones are my grandmother's. Voice is just what it is. And God is good. Can I just say that he decided when he put me together, put all of us together, he made us special. So this is what you get with me. And what you get with you is someone that is kind, open, undeniably just generous, well-versed, and definitely a safe space. So the minute I met you, I felt that way. Look at me scratching it. You can tell I'm comfortable with you.
I know. And it's so funny, because I was going to say, like, we should probably start. Like, I ain't known this woman but for a couple weeks. Okay. I met her at a Christmas party, at a holiday party that I crashed. Okay. I don't know if you know this. A friend of mine, Parker Wallace, who's a friend. You might know Parker. You know Parker from your days at Coffee with America. She would come on and do cooking segments. Yes.
Oh, yeah. She would be, yes. One of the facilitators.
Yes.
Right.
She's an amazing friend of mine, and she's a friend of the podcast. She's been on with us a couple times, and she's like, do you want to go to this? I'm in town. You want to go to this holiday party with me? You might make some excellent connections. She was not wrong. And I said, sure, I'll go. So I get there. I get to the hotel, and Parker, I know she's not going to mind me saying this because she was completely safe, but she's like, I don't feel well. I might have the thing that we're all afraid of getting. And so she took a test, and she was like, I can't go to this party. She's like, but you go. And so I went. I never saw her. Like, we were always in passing, and, she just called me on the phone before I got there, and she was like, bypass me and go straight to the party.
Wow. And I'm so glad you did.
I'm glad
for us to be able to. Yes.
I'm so glad, because I think we've run in similar circles around the Atlanta community doing the things that we do.
I think so.
But I've never actually met you. And actually, I thought about this the other day, because I think you and I are potentially.
Don't say cousins.
No.
Oh, potentially what?
Awesome, though.
Black people always say, I think you might be my cousin.
You might be my cousin. No, this is even better than being cousins. I think you and I might potentially be naked in the same book.
We might be what?
Naked in a book.
Naked?
Yes. Naked. Did you do Dr. Jackie's Perfect Imperfections, that book? It was like a coffee table book for breast
Yes. Oh, I was in that book.
I was in that book too, girl.
You were in that book too?
Yes.
And we were bucket naked. All in the name of breast cancer research. I remember that, Dr. Tiff. Wow. Dr. Jackie, that's a great soul, isn't it?
Yes, she is. She's also a friend of the podcast. And we've had some great conversations. She was on a few weeks ago, last season, and we talked about the O shot, which was a very fun episode. And she tried her best to convince me to get a shot in my clitoris and G-spot in order to have better orgasm.
Did you do it?
I did not do it. I don't like needles, and a needle in my clitoris is really not something that I feel like the Lord has over my life at this point. So
you don't like, a needle in your clitoris. So needless to say that you don't have any piercings.
I do. I used to have a tongue piercing. You can see the indentation.
Let me see. Do that again. Okay. No cavities. I wish I could do that. My tongue has never been long.
Is it long?
No.
Oh, I didn't think about my. Oh yeah, no.
It doesn't go far.
Well, mine does.
She has a very happy husband at home.
I do. And so the thing is, if I was having problems with orgasming, I would totally go down that road, but I don't feel like that's not my story. Okay. That might be somebody else's. That part ain't mine. Got my own set of issues, but that part ain't mine. So don't need to do that. And don't want to ask, I don't want to ask for trouble.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. I'm glad you brought up, and I keep forgetting that what you do. When you talk about, orgasms, let's talk about and help me, because I think I've just learned some stuff by trial and error, getting to the age that I am now. So with orgasms, there's an internal and external orgasm. I'm asking.
There's so many. No, there are so many different types of orgasms that you can have based on a lot of different things. But let's just say based on the type of stimulation. There are some of us who orgasm very easily through clitoral stimulation, right? So you can just touch it, brush against it for some of us, and you're, immediately goes off. Others of us are like to be stimulated internally and have, really robust vaginal orgasms or G-spot orgasms. Some people get stimulated and have orgasms from anal stimulation. The perineum, the tissue that's like in between the vagina and the anus, that is very sensitive for some folks, and they get intense orgasm. From the vagina and the vagina, yes, between and the
anus. Some people, I think they call that the taint.
The taint, because it
really taints nothing there. It's in between those two sexual organs,
and it taints the vagina. Yes, right in the between.
It is so funny how you can hear things one time and it sticks with you. Somebody probably I probably heard taint at the age of 13 and have never forgot it.
No. Because why would
which one would you say, pound for pound, if you did, a survey, which one is most intense between all of those types of orgasms?
Ooh, intensity. Intensity is so that's really hard because it's so different for everybody. I will say the most elusive, is probably the G-spot orgasm, because you kind of got to find the G-spot. You know where the vagina is. You know where the clitoris is.
Where is the G-spot?
The G-spot is about 2 inches up in the anterior wall of the vagina. I'm going to stand up for a second so I can show you.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me move this out of the way. I'll move this up too. So I'm standing up, right?
Nice tummy.
Thanks, doll. Thanks. So the belly button's here.
Right.
Is down. Oh, let me move this down. Okay. Vagina is here. So if I were a guy, right, and used these 2 fingers and stuck it up here, the G-spot is about right here.
Okay.
Okay. So, and again, here's my belly button. G-spot's probably about right here. It can be a little different for women, because some people have long torsos or whatever. But if you think about it, the barrel of the vagina is only about 4 inches long. So you don't have
as far as 4 inches deep, you mean?
Yeah. All 4 inches.
So that's why I've heard that really a man can have like 3-inch penis and still make you orgasm. Because the G-spot is really only 2 inches up in there.
Yeah, it's only about 1 inch to 2 inches up there. You're only going to get about 4 inches up anyway. So like if you're schlonging with like, 8 inches, like only half of that's really going to get in.
But how? Okay, so
so much a sister can take.
Right. So if we're only 4 inches deep, I know that I've seen, I'm just going to say it, like porn or videos where it seems like if a man has 8 inches plus that it's disappearing. Is he damaging us or them?
No. One would hope not. But you know how the skin on the penis is like flexible, can I say?
Right.
So
yeah,
nothing. He's not going to break anything on himself or you. But yeah, and that 4 inches, remember, that is an estimate. Everybody's body is different. So some might have a little bit more room. Some, that canal may be a little bit longer or a little bit shorter just based on the individual. But
interesting.
But the G-spot orgasm is a lot more elusive because a lot of people don't know where they are. It may not be as pronounced or profound as others. So the stimulation pattern might be different in some women as opposed to others. The orgasm that is usually most easy and most consistent is the clitoral orgasm, because there are so many more nerve endings in the clitoris. And the clitoris is interesting. This is such the crazy conversation. This is not where this interview is supposed to be going.
No, but I love it, because I'm sure if I'm asking, I'm sure a lot of other people have these questions too.
Right. So the clitoral orgasm. So the clitoris is built up of a whole bunch of different nerve endings, more nerve endings than anywhere else on the body. And it is the same embryonic tissue as the penis. So if you think about how much sensation guys get out of their penis, we're getting that same amount of sensation right at the clitoris. So it doesn't take a lot of stimulation for us to become more aroused and for that arousal to then turn into orgasm. So a lot of people, especially like with toy play and things like that, they target the area of the clitoris because it's such an easy orgasm, an easy A, if you will.
It really, it is. And I think that, and we talked about this at the Christmas party. And I think the question, let me see if you remember this question, Dr. Tiff, because I asked pound for pound, who enjoys sex more? Who does it? Pound for pound, right. Inch for inch. Who enjoys sex more? Is it women or men? Because it seems like men enjoy it more. Or is it just that men are more verbal about it? Or do they just have more of a sex drive?
I feel like it's all of those things. And it also depends on the stage in which we are in life. I will say that I have been someone who, like, I feel like at different stages in our lives, right? We may find ourselves being the higher desire partner, meaning we have a higher sex drive or higher desire than our partner. And then at other stages in our life, our sex drive may be in the tank and our partner is the one that really is kind of driving it. One thing that's really interesting, and I heard this when I was when I was in school, and I always kind of have found it to be true. The person with the lower sex drive controls the sex in the relationship.
Lower drive. That makes sense.
Because if that person doesn't want to have sex, generally they're not having sex. They're not initiating. So things happen because of the needle moves because of the higher drive person that's like wanting to. Sure. But the real person in control of whether we have sex or not, how we have sex, the positions, how long, all of those things is the person with the lower desire. And when I say lower desire, it doesn't mean that your desire is clinically low. It just means that it's lower than your partner's at this time. And that could be because like maybe Maybe you just had a child, and the last thing you want is another person tugging on you. Perhaps
because you're not feeling sexy. You're not feeling
not
attractive.
feeling sexy or aroused. Yeah. Perhaps you have some undiagnosed or unattended to depression or anxiety around sex. Perhaps there's been some sexual trauma in your past causing you that flares up to you for you anytime you want to be intimate. It could be something like perhaps you don't like your partner. That could cause your sex desire to be low. So those are all the things that I look for in when people come in and they complain about sex desire being off. We have to figure out what that desire discrepancy is about so that we can fix it. But I don't think that there is, systematically, men are always going to be higher than women because there are so many things that impact our desire and motivation to be sexual. There are mental health issues, there are physiological issues. Hormones are a big deal, and especially as we age,
yes,
we may find that like, oh, my sex desire is so low. Get on the right hormone replacements, and honey, they can't. It cannot be matched,
right?
So and that's a stage of life thing, a timing thing, a hormonal thing. So there are so many different areas and ways that we can be more attentive to our level of desire and make those changes that are necessary.
It's so interesting that you brought up a point when you say that the person with the lower sex drive actually, drives the sexual relationship. And it reminds me of something that my grandma told me a long time ago, that I think that women don't realize how much we drive relationships from the very beginning, and we give that power away. Case in point, from the first middle school dance, the guy asks us, can I have this dance? From the time we start dating, the guy asks us. So really the ball is always in our court as women, because we're constantly being asked, hey, will you go with me to the prom? Can I have this chance? Will you give me a chance? Can we go, will you marry me? In every part of how we even move through a relationship, women have the power, but some kind of way we give it up. I'm guilty.
We don't recognize it. We don't recognize the power.
Right.
We don't recognize the power that we hold because we're being asked. We're thinking that they're being gentlemen, or they're being, they're being courteous or whatever. But what we have to do, and I think it's such an important conversation to have, and especially with young girls, right? That you are the one that holds the power. You have it. They want you. You don't even have to look their way. They are coming because you have something that they desire. And once they start to recognize and own that we are the sauce. We are the specials. We are what makes this thing work. Then, there's no stopping us in relationship, in life, in business, in anything.
Right. So interesting, because coming out of that, in the first quarter, my book, Queen Bee, is coming out. And the book is not Queen Bee in the sense of Lil' Kim or Beyonce, but mine is Queen Bee, B-E. Queen, be forgiving. Queen, be able to recognize your worth. So it's daily, almost like a reminder, affirmations, but confirmations to know that as to be a queen and how to pass down our crown. We wear it every day. It sits here, but understanding that we have the power inside and outside as a queen. And we need to take that and pass that down to our princesses, our other generations, because we're born with it. It's so great to know that even from a spiritual standpoint, if we realize that we are already born with everything that God wants for us, He died for us to have it. And if we reach deep inside, we can have all of those things that we want. And as women, we were born as queen. We were all made individually and specially made with our own pedigree. If we just unlock that or be open to receive everything that's already there, just waiting to come out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead and give the people a word. Why don't you? I love that. Thank you.
Well, because recently,
me.
I've been awakened. It's so crazy how you can sit and realize where you are in life and then look back and realize 2 or 3 years have passed. But unless your eyes are open, there's so many different lessons that to be taught during those seasons that you may have ignored, that you're like, why is this happening to me? Because I'm the queen of woe is me. But wow, that happened because of this. That happened because of that. But if we all just have the patience, the one thing about having faith, and that's a season that I'm in right now, going into 2024, is having faith. It's so tough because there's no evidence sometimes that it's going to happen. And the way that we are built as humans, we research things. You know, we look, okay, this happened because of that. But if we're in a season now, we are trying to get somewhere, and right now we don't see how that's going to happen, that's a lack of faith. That's when our flesh is coming in. There has to be a higher power that everybody believes in, that you know, that drives you. If you know that you can get up every day and move around and complete all the tasks that you want to and complete them successfully without a higher power, without God, without whoever you, hats off to you.
Yeah. It ain't working that way. It ain't working that way. We all live by, I believe we all live by the grace of God, and making sure that, like, he's out there making these crooked places straight. And even though we may go through the things that we go through, we're going through that because of what's on the other side that we can't see, that thing
that we can't see.
There are muscles that need to be developed. There are skills that need to be learned. All of those things are teaching us what we need to learn in this moment so that we are better prepared for the next. And in that, right, I know that, and one of the reasons why it was so important for me to have you on is because I know you've made some really dramatic shifts in your life that must have come from somewhere. Because you're a walking you're a living, breathing, walking testimony. You're someone who we know has publicly kind of gone through a lot, including breast cancer as a survivor. How many years are you in your
16 years.
How many years
Survivor.
Are you?
Thank you so much. And
oh my God,
a big shout out to all of the survivors, thrivers out there. And you may think, oh, I know someone that had breast cancer or any type of chronic illness. I know someone, and I was there. I saw them go through it. Well, that makes you a thriver and a survivor as well. Because if you're the friend of someone or relative holding the hand of someone as they go through something like a cancer, then you went through that too. So give yourself a round of applause, because it takes a lot to be on either side of those. And hats off, and let's praise even the doctors that the Lord gives and instills those powers into to help and heal us. And even you, Dr. Tiff, as a doctor. So I think we're all a part of this puzzle in the world, just trying to make it. And we all need each other.
Yeah, we absolutely do. We can't do it without community.
No, and you know, I know you're alluding
that's
to.
One thing I've been really Go ahead.
Speaking about things that I've been through.
Oh, what I was going to say is, oh, sorry.
You
Sorry.
good.
What I was going to say is we can't do this thing without community. And that is why platforms such as this is so important to me, because I think that even the conversation that we had that was unplanned, by the way, about sex and sexuality, I believe those things come into conversation and come into our awareness because somebody needs to hear it. Somebody needs to learn from it. You said it yourself. If you had that question, there's probably 10 other people listening that have that question. And how do we know that divinely God didn't place that person on this earth in this moment, tuned into whatever podcast channel they wanted, because they needed this little piece of information, this gem of wisdom that you were about to lay out. So nothing is by mistake. Everything is by design. Even if I never get to a single question on this show.
Have you not?
That's exactly what we were supposed to do.
Well, I think,
So anyway, yes. Let's talk about it though. Let's talk about some of the more recent things, the more recent, let's say, revelations that you've come about, like that, damn it, I need to change some things in my life. What has that been for you?
Well, my most recent revelation, I know for sure, is going to be an elevation, something that's going to not just elevate me, but the life of others. And, I've asked God I've always asked, even when I started radio, almost 20 years ago, I asked him, what is my purpose? Because I started in Birmingham, Alabama. And then when I got the call to go to Dallas to be on a nationally syndicated show, got to realize I was being heard, 1 month in one city, and within the next year, over 80 cities at one time. Lord, what is my purpose? Well, he showed me all right. 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in their lifetime. And I was diagnosed with breast cancer, but I realized, okay, got to be careful what you ask for. But I realized my purpose at that time was to be that person, for not just for Black women, but for all women. If I can still hear her on the radio every day or see her still move about, then maybe that diagnosis isn't so bad. It gives me the strength and the courage to move on. And I hope that that's what the 16 years of me having and still being, cancer free, having that diagnosis. But most recently, my struggle in the past few years, I've found that things that I've wanted to happen, things in my career, people have asked, where's Ebony? What's going on with her? And there was an incident that began to kind of shake and rock my world about 10 years ago. And I really started addressing it about 2 or 3 years ago, as far as me and alcohol. And it came to me and I realized, because I've tried to go so many ways around it, I'm a better person when I am sober. So for the year 2024, I have made a vow to every day wake up and say, and every day not drink. And the reason I do it like that is because I said, I'm never going to drink again, ever in my life. Well, I can't say that, because if somebody was standing right here and, was going to take the life of my sister and said, hey, you got to have a drink before or else I'm going to have a drink. I know that's far-fetched, but I try to give myself realistic expectations. And I know that if I can, for the next 24 hours, say I'm not going to drink, then that says something. The past 2 years, I've really, really worked at it. I've had some good dry runs.
A lot more doable.
Right. Very, very much so. Some dry runs. And
Amen.
I've actually gone away 2 times to try to work on this matter for myself. And you may say, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal was a couple of broken fingers, a collarbone that was broken, eye socket falling down, missing cell phones, not remembering where my wallet is, not remembering. Dr. Tiffany, right now, I know that one of the most prideful, or one of the things I'll hold dear, is even in this moment right now talking to you. So I'm talking about times where I have had been to my sister's wedding or been to a friend's baby shower and may not have much memory of it because of the fact that I was either in 3 states all the time, about to drink, in the midst of being tipsy or intoxicated, or coming out of it. And for those that don't know, alcohol stays in your system about 72 hours, 3 days. So even if I'm clear and clean for 2 days, I'm still not 100% ever, because I'm still going in this revolving circle and cycle. And I'm a better Ebony when I'm sober.
Man. What was it for you that was kind of like last straw? I cannot live like this anymore.
What was the last straw for me? There were a lot of them. So there were straws. There's been many along the way. One that resonates, I think, for sure, is the memory, not remembering things. Now, mind you, I'm a 16-year breast cancer survivor, so I went through chemotherapy, and they have something that they call chemo brain, and that's when you don't remember a lot of things. You're kind of,
a lot of fog.
So that even exists with me. I have a little fog, and and I have to take something for that to just to work on my memory. Well, then you add on top of that, alcohol, that we know, oh my God, what happened last night? So, remembering things that I need to remember and forgetting things that I need to forget, but also in my relationships with people.
Let's talk about that. Like, how did alcohol impact how you related to people, whether that be personal relationships or even working relationships? How do you think alcohol impacted your relationships with people?
When under the influence of alcohol, or I call it when I'm in heavy addiction or active addiction, antsy, you're very agitated and you're aggravated because everything around you is interrupting what you really want to be doing. And that that's drinking. Doing morning radio, I was a person that went in at 5:30. The radio show is, starts at 6. We're clear by 10:30. So if you meet somebody for lunch and you have a drinky drink, and it's 11:12, and you sit there to 3:00, you go home, maybe do what you got to do, check your emails, check your mail, do a little work, and you have an event that you have to be at that evening that's at 7, and then you're drinking again. It's just this revolving cycle. And
more alcohol than water or coffee or anything else.
Absolutely. With alcohol, I just tried one day, and I kept a notebook of how many times alcohol was brought into the forefront or placed in front of me in a single day. And I think that it came out that number to be 23. Every movie that I watched had a scene where someone was going to a bar. Even if I'm watching TV, there's a commercial where they're showing the Real Housewives and they're sitting having wine. Once again, this is Ebony Steele's choice, no one else. And let me say that if I could drink like everyone else and have a good time and still be sane and still not say things that maybe insult people and still have a memory, then I probably would continue to do it. It is like a death. It's a changing of something. I'll always remember when I turned 16 and got a car. I'll always remember when I graduated high school. I'll always remember when I graduated college. I'll remember when I got married. I'll remember when I got divorced. And I'll remember when I quit drinking alcohol. It's major if it's something that you do. Anyway, back to the 23 times that I was saying that, in a single day. It's on every TV commercial. It's going to be a beer commercial. Absolutely. If you're driving down the street, you're going to see restaurants that have, happy hour.
I was watching The Young and the Restless the other day, and which is like, I've just watched it all my life, but someone came in the room, and as soon as they walked into the house, they made a beeline for the bar, got their scotch, no ice, no nothing, and knocked it back because they had had a hard day. And my husband was in the room when I was watching it. I was like, who does that? Who walks into the house? And the first thing, she hadn't even put her coat down.
Right.
Threw her cell phone on the couch. And she's like, oh, I need a drink. I'm like, what a life.
And it's something.
Yeah.
We do it to celebrate. We drink to celebrate. We drink. So that means we drink when we're happy, right? We drink when we're sad to feel better. We drink when we're bored. Yeah. If it's a birthday, if it's a weekend, and so after, a certain amount of time, and alcohol affects different people in different ways. Some people are like a happy drunk. Some people are just quiet. Some people are mean. I get very aggressive, very assertive. If it's a conversation, I may not be talking like that, but it's listen to me. It's about me. And it's not until sometimes that you look back at videos of yourself or people tell a story, you don't remember it. And you're like, wow. Dr. Tiffany, another thing that I also realized in looking at people around me, there are some relationships, romantic relationships, where the only thing that people have in common, I'm guilty of it, is the fact that we drank. We met at a club, a party, or a bar, or a restaurant, had a drink, want another one? Yes. Hey, we want to meet up tomorrow? Yeah, why don't we have lunch? Do we have lunch and then have drinks then? Then we may have dinner that week. And it's just almost like, without even thinking about it, the pattern of such said relationship, and this happens even with people that smoke weed too,
Right.
And they realize, or you realize, if you take this away, what do we really have in common? If we went to McDonald's where there was no bar, or went to, I was going to say Cracker Barrel, but Cracker Barrel has alcohol now. But
do they?
Yeah, you can get mimosas, you can get, right. So it's
with my fried chicken. Okay.
Yeah. And there is nothing, I have nothing against it at all. I want to make that clear, because before I decided to remove alcohol, one thing I could not stand is a goody two-shoes that doesn't drink, that looks down on other people that do, you know. But this is just for Ebony. And I've been told that my testimony and my ministry is for girls or women that want to stop. I feel that I can be there and be a voice. And I want to see God. I want people to see God work in me. I'm almost calling this the Watch This Project, because if anybody knows me or knows that I've been the life of the party, always a fun time, always going to laugh, going to have a good time. But didn't have my first drink till 26, interestingly enough. I was a designated driver always in college. But in this little last window of time, a lot of the bad things, or things that I wish would have turned out a different way in my life, alcohol has been involved.
Alcohol has been involved. So you recognize that the pattern of some of the more negative aspects, more negative endings to things or relationships or whatever, alcohol was somewhere around there lurking, making its presence. What type of support do you feel like you need at this stage? Because how long have you been sober?
I've been working on sobriety strong for the past 2 years. Me definitely putting my foot down before, and within the 2 years, there's probably been one time that I said, and this is right when I came back from 28 days at rehab, and I went 3.5, 4 months. And when I drank the first time after that, this is what gets you. It wasn't even like a craving. It was like, let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I really.
Let me just see.
Yeah. Have the drink. I'm like, oh, that ain't. I can. Okay, if I want to drink, I see now that I can do it and be okay. Well, that was a Friday. So Saturday is the next day. Hey, Eb, want to go to brunch? On me. One of my girls. Okay. Oh, mimosa comes with it? Yeah, I had the drink yesterday, even after. So let me have this. The next thing you know, it's Sunday. Having one again after church, after brunch. And then slowly it becomes a part of the life. In the first week or two, it's okay. But then it's that one night that you may binge, and then I may have to get up early. See, the problem is, I was going to say not so much when you're drinking at night, because that becomes a problem too. But if it takes you till 2 o'clock the next day to really get your wits about you, but you're at work at 6 or 7, then what is my productivity really looking like? I'm some people say I'm a perfectionist, overachiever. So I may be landing, within 80%, make it an 85, a B+ on the test. But just imagine if 100% of me was there, or I remember what 100% of me felt like before I had a drink.
Right. And I think because some of us have drank for so long, we don't recognize the change in us or what we are like when we're not drinking. Some of us have used alcohol so much socially as a crutch, maybe for social anxiety, maybe just to, take the edge off or relax, or maybe to avoid or to become more of ourselves or become more of the life of the party, whatever. But we don't necessarily have that self-assessment. So I think that's so wise and so interesting that you took the time to like look at like, what am I like with alcohol, but also what am I like without? How much more productive could I be without drinking? And then assessing kind of where you are, how you're feeling. People don't really look at, like, we think about the drinking and feel that drunk feeling or whatever that looks like and however alcohol manifests for you. But like the feeling of sobriety and what that difference is for us. Tell us what that feels like, what sobriety feels like for you.
Sobriety, let me tell you the difference with sobriety with me. And this may sound corny, but it's true. I find myself smiling more because of maybe the thoughts in my head are just clear. One of the things too that I'm making sure that I do is to build myself up physically. That has to do with the removal of alcohol, mentally and spiritually. Part of that physical part too, as well, excuse me, is walking every day. walking every day, just quiet time to myself. And there is, my mom's nickname was Red. My mom passed 8 years ago. And we used to always say when there was a red bird outside, that's mom saying hello. Well, when I walk now, 2 days in a row, I realized that there was a red bird in a tree that's like 5 houses down from mine. So now it's a mental thing that I look forward to, that when I take my walk every day, somewhere between 3:30 and 4:30, I look for that red bird. And it makes me happy that it's there. Before,
you look for the red
when
bird.
I was either in one of those 3 stages, about to drink, in the midst of drinking, or coming out of drinking, I didn't focus on things like that. I'm always playing catch up with stuff I didn't do the day before. So I need to do this. And it's agitation. It's not, when they say stop and smell the roses, I guess I'm stopping and watching the red bird. I didn't take out time to do things like that. I actually want to be present. When I was in active addiction, even when I wake up in the morning, okay, I've got to do this at 1:00. I've got to be somewhere else at 5:30, and I've got to be somewhere else at 8 p.m. But I'm scheduling when I can drink in between. So, okay, I know at this 1:00, this first appointment, they're going to be into me. They're going to be really paying attention. So I can't drink before that one because they're going to be able to tell. The second one is kind of, they're cool, casual. Okay, so I can have a drink before that one. The 8:00 one, I'm going to have to be on my. So I would I knew what spot what happy hour was close to this spot. Okay, so I can go by Harold's. Okay, have a drink there. Then such and such. And anything that messes up that schedule pisses you off. You're upset. You're mad because this is what you think, or what I thought that I needed to continue to go on. And then you feel like, I fooled him again today. So you stop by the bar, or I did at the end of the night, to have another drink. That's my nightcap for the morning. Then in the morning, I'm praying that I'm not sick and not throwing up. And then heaven forbid, if I have to do something like this, I already have a full face. So then there's times I'm on TV like from, being bloated.
Puffy, yeah.
So there were so many things. And I could even tell when my mother didn't get to see me sober. I want my father to see me sober. And when people know you, like my sister and my father, they can just look and tell. They can look and tell. They can look and tell if my eyes are red like they are now from my allergies, or if my eyes are red from being tipsy.
Right. Well, I want to share something with you that just came to me.
Please.
Just in the last moment in what you said, and I truly believe this with all of my heart, Ebony. Oh God.
Are you going to make me cry?
My God. The thought of what I'm getting ready to say is making me cry. I just want you to know that every time you see that red bird, your mom has seen you sober.
Praise God.
That is your mom. And she sees you. And she sees what you're doing. She knows how hard it is. And that is her affirming for you that she sees you. She's proud of you. And you keep going on those walks and you keep looking for the red bird. And every time you do it, you need to stick your chest out and let her know, Mom, you see me and I'm sober.
Thank you.
Because she does.
That just gave me chills. It means the world to me. And thank you tell them, thank you for allowing me to come into your house, your home, your place, and think it not robbery for me to share my story, that people would even care or want to hear. And I want people to know, or women to know, young girls, 95% of rapes on campuses have to do with alcohol. And I want to be that voice. It's going to be here. It's going to exist. If there's a way maybe that I could be able to do it, I'm not lying, without having to suffer consequences later.
Yeah.
People think I'm not gonna, no, I don't want Ebony to go to the bar because it's going to tempt her. It's not like that. It doesn't tempt you from being around it. For me, I think of the consequences of, how much I had to pay a lawyer for a DUI, how much I had to pay for this and that. There's so many things. I actually added up at the peak of when I was making a lot more money than I'm making now, when I was in a really, really blessed place and I blew it. It is amazing how much a month that I spent, not just on eating out. Well, eating out comes along with it. It's just amazing. You know, when you find yourself eating out or drinking and you're...
I'm not going to ask you how much it... I'm not going to ask you how much it was. I'm not going to ask you how much it was, but I am going to ask you, what could you have bought with that money?
I could have probably paid my car note 3 times per month. Don't forget, you know, and then I'm social with it too. You know what I mean? Hey, get her one. Hey, because you know you don't want to do it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
No.
Yeah, so there are times I feel for sure, easily.
I'm glad you're on this side of it. I'm glad you're on this side of it. I'm glad you're able to talk about it. I'm glad you're able to share about it, and again, inspire others with everything that you've been through. I think that you're blessing people just by being here, just by sharing your story, just so that there are some people that need to go through things to learn things. Okay. And it sounds like you were one of those. You had to go through some things to learn some things. There are others of us who can learn by example, who can learn by others sharing their stories and then saying, oh, that could be me. I don't want to do that. Let me turn over here. So I know that you are here. You are purposed and you are charged with helping those of us that need to learn by your example, not mine, right? This is it, and it doesn't have to be a cautionary tale. It is an awareness.
It's an awareness.
Be more aware of how alcohol impacts you. Be more aware of how your body, your personality, everything interacts and is impacted by alcohol. I love the work that you're beginning to do and starting to talk about with colleges, in particular HBCUs, because I know that there are a lot of sexual assaults and rapes happening on those campuses. And not that we want to, because I want to highlight HBCUs for a different reason, obviously, but there is a lot of sweeping under the rugs that is happening on our campuses that we as a people, as Black people cannot ignore, just because we don't want that light shine on our HBCUs, because we have so much to be proud of our HBCUs.
Sure.
We need to clean that part up immediately. It has to be cleaned up immediately. So definitely continue to talk about that. Continue to talk about that, because it is very much needed. And there are so many stories of women who have been silenced at many colleges across the country, but in particular HBCUs. And we can't tolerate it. We can't tolerate it.
Well,
again, what we said at the beginning, women have so much, and you have so much power in your voice. And we need to use it. We need to use it.
Well, I'm here, and I just want to say on the record, Dr. Tiff, if there's anything that I can ever do for you, you let me know. And if I can't do it for you, then I'll try to help you to find a way. That's my promise. That's my promise to you.
You know what? And I'm going to offer the same promise. I love and appreciate you. I thank you so very much for being here, for sharing your story with me and with my audience. I know that people have been blessed. They've learned a lot and they've grown a lot just within this short period of time. We've only been talking about 50 minutes, but I know that they've gotten so much out of this conversation. You're welcome back here at any time.
And we thank you.
I want you back as soon as that book drops.
I'll be glad to. And while I'm talking about,
I want you back when that book drops. Yeah.
My sobriety, I want to thank you on behalf of everyone. I want to thank you for continuing to enlighten us and give us knowledge about vaginas and penises and how they go together, coincide, pull apart.
How they operate and how they...
about the G-spots It's a lot of guys that are going to be happy after this episode, knowing that they really only need 2 inches to make us happy.
Listen, that's all you need. That's all. But listen, don't just be showing up with 2 inches and no swinging of the hips and no thrust. Like, don't just sit there with 2 inches. If you won't come with 2 inches, honey, have a plan.
Please believe it. Please believe it. Would you say have a plan with it?
Have a whole plan. Have a whole plan, honey. You better plan that thing right on now. Don't just sit there.
You had 2 of your boys in the car. Hey, man, if I text you, I might need you to come help me out.
I need some help. Yes, Jesus. Oh my gosh. Ebony, I can't thank you enough for spending this time with us today. For more information on our guest, please take a gander at the show notes, because we're going to put any information, any programs, any appearances, anything that she has, it will be there, because we want to make sure you are supportive of her, because she has given us the world and we want to give it right back, give that love right back to her. So please take a look at the show notes. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And that's it for us today. So without any further ado, Ebony, is there anything?
No, that's it. You can follow me on all social media. Okay. You may have that on but Real Ebony Steele.
I will, but go ahead and tell
me. Okay, Real Ebony Steele on Instagram. And you can find me mostly with Ebony Steele. That's EBONY STEELE. Ebony Arrington Steele on Facebook, and Ebony Steele on Facebook as well. I'm all over the place. I'm even Ebony Steele on MySpace, but don't go there.
Jesus. Okay. All right. Let the church say amen. Y'all have a good day. And thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone that's listening. Thank you, Ebony, for being our guest.
Love you, Dr. Tiff.
We'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
I love you too. Ciao.